Hi, this is Janelle from Hustling Hotties and the host of the Big Dreamer series. Today I have with me Emily Peterson, who is the best-selling author of Bare Naked Bravery. Hi, Emily, how are you?
Hi, it's so good to see you and hear you and be here. I'm excited to do this. So thank you for having me.
I'm excited to have you. We spoke before and I feel like we have such great rapport and I can't wait to hear and have all my viewers to hear what you have to say today. So I just want to dive right in and I want to
Sure.
talk about your business and how you grew it. What strategies did you use to grow your business?
So my the business that I operate today is on the heels of several diagnoses that I received over the last 5 years. 5 years ago, I was a full-time cellist and recording musician and um, cello teacher, and I was doing music full time. Um, and I received a diagnosis of an essential tremor in my right hand. So my right hand shakes, and it is degenerative. So it's going to get worse. It's hereditary, so it's from family, and it's also neurological, which means like massage therapy and acupuncture is not going to fix it. Um, and for most people, just having a shaky right hand is not a big deal. But because of my career at the time, it was, it felt and in some respects was a death sentence. Like it was playing the cello was my livelihood. It was also my second voice. I called it my second voice.
Hmm.
I had played it for 2 decades and knew it like the back of my hand, even though it was shaking now. Um, and it was just awful. It also got worse with stress, like on a day-to-day basis. So if my stress levels were high, the tremor would be worse.
Right.
Um, and because that was such a stressful diagnosis, because my ability to pay rent depended on the stability of my hand, and if I was stressed, the stability went away even more, and it was just this like downward spiral. It sucked super bad. And through the grieving process and the deconstruction of my identity as a cellist, and then I was awarded a 6-week artist residency. This was like unrelated to the diagnosis, but I had previously been awarded this 6-week residency at an arts organization out in Leavenworth, Washington. And my um, my time out there was what I call creative sulking. I basically was kind of doing like shaking my fist at the sky and
Mm.
like not doing. I wasn't playing the cello, um, and I just spent the time creatively sulking. And I had done co-songwriting before with previous projects I had been involved in and projects I had done. Um, and that 6 weeks was my first attempt at writing songs by myself. Um, and they weren't half bad. So what I came away from that experience was, okay, I may not be just a cellist. I'm not a broken cellist. I'm an artist. I'm a musician. I'm a songwriter. And I have something to say. Even though my hand shakes, I still have something to say. And then it occurred to me over the course of like the next several months, it occurred to me that if I was going to say those things and continue to do music, kind of like, crash and burn, like if we've only have the X amount of time left in my stability of my hand, let's go for it. It occurred to me that I was going to have to be brave because that's a really scary thing. And I had no idea what bravery actually meant, really. And I got more curious, like in an official capacity. I started doing a lot of research, and all of that research with um, bravery started with my friends. I started asking them what bravery was to them, and I started asking the people who I thought were brave, how did they get that way, that kind of thing. And all of those conversations turned into a podcast. And then those conversations turned into a book. And so here we are today. And I'm also, now I still do the songwriting, and I do marketing consulting, business strategy, and lifestyle strategy for business owners who have chronic illnesses, and or external market constraints that make their situation really unique. Because one of the things that I discovered through this process is that there are these 12 ingredients of bravery, and a lot of business owners aren't using the full 12. And especially when you get hit with a big bowling ball, like a diagnosis that you can't control, you then have to depend on these other ingredients in this bravery equation. And if you're not familiar with all of the ingredients, then you end up kind of incapacitated to some degree. So it's totally possible to use the constraints that you have in your day and in your situation to create what you want out of life, and do what you want in life. So that's like the 5-minute version.
I mean, how is your hand now?
It still shakes. Yeah.
Mm.
It's worse.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's degenerative. So it's worse.
It's
Yeah.
just going to keep going.
Yeah. And I mean, part of the decision to lean into business was, I have a degree in marketing, in business management, and my dad's a marketing professor. So I have an extensive background in it. And I've always done consulting when people ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I ended up just defaulting to, just because that's just a great skill to have and offer. I love offering it. I'm good at it. It's something that I enjoy. But I'm sorry, I got distracted by my own words, and I apologize. What was your question? Remind me your question again. I want to make sure.
I just asked how your hand was.
Well, so here's the part about the hand, is that I realized that the stability of my hand is getting worse. So I have, like, in my life, I have a limited amount of time to offer my stability of my hand to music.
Mm-hmm.
When that's gone, it's going to be gone, and I won't be able to play music in the ways that I do. So I would rather now play music the way I want to play music for myself and for the rest of the world, rather than just teach other people how to play it, or just be on other people's projects in the background and that kind of thing. So that was a part of the piece of bravery that I had to make that choice to say, I have a limited capacity, and I don't want to spend that capacity in inefficient ways. And so the same thing has to happen with productivity too. You have a limited capacity for the things you can accomplish in a day. You have limited resources financially, energetically, time-wise. You have limited number of employees in your business, and you have to make the decision to utilize those resources in a really efficient way.
So let's talk about this productivity. So how do you make yourself, because I know a lot of people, I've been talking to my group, and that's the biggest thing, is time management for them. So how do you make yourself more productive throughout the day? So most people that are probably watching this have a full-time job. So they're working a full-time job. They're also trying to be an entrepreneur at the same time. How do they do all of this stuff and still live?
The living part has to do with feeling fulfilled and feelings in general. I mean, I'm a big fan of Danielle Laporte's Desire Map.
Yeah.
She and several other people have, like, these philosophies that you have to start your time management strategies from a place of values and priorities, rather than just like what is being asked of me. Because if you only do what is being asked of you, then you'll end up being a victim of your own life, and that's your choice.
Yeah. And everything that we do is constantly a choice. I'm constantly saying that to people. Like you have to make the choices that you want to do, what you want to do in your life.
Right. So I think, one of the first steps, if you feel like you're being victimized by your own life, or you feel like you have made choices that have been like just given your power away, the first step in regaining your power of choice, which is an ingredient of bravery, the first step in regaining that is to acknowledge that you are part of the problem. And,
Yeah.
and you are also especially part of the problem if you continued in the same way. So there are moments in life where there is just like the God's honest truth, where you were a victim. You did not choose that situation.
Mm-hmm.
You still have a choice in how you respond to the situation. And that is hard to hear words, especially for somebody who's been diagnosed with something. Like, I never chose this diagnosis. I loved my life. I love teaching the cello still to this day. And it breaks my heart to even hear it some days, hear the instrument in songs some days. But I have a choice in how I react to this diagnosis. And I can sit in a dark room and choose to escape, doing any number of things. Or I can choose to react and respond in a way that I am proud of. And that applies to any story of victimization, as severe as rape, and as insevere as like somebody said something mean to me,
Right.
or in when it comes to productivity, oh wow, somebody's asking, just overstepped their boundaries that you never expressed to them, but they overstepped their boundaries, and so now they're sucking up your time.
Yeah.
And so then your choice in a boundary situation or in a time management situation is you can express those boundaries and say, hey, actually, I've got a meeting up here coming in a second. So give me 2 more minutes and then we got to wrap this up real quick. That's regaining your power of choice in a time management kind of way. Does that answer your question a little
Yeah.
bit?
That's perfect. Yeah, perfect. My next question for you is about an outrageous goal. What outrageous goal have you accomplished that you never thought you'd be able to accomplish?
I mean, when I was diagnosed with my tremor, I never thought, oh, this is a great thing let's write a book. That was never on the table for me. I followed the curiosity, and it led me to like, well, this would make a good book. And partly it made a good book because I didn't find any other books about bravery and fear out there that were talking about the same things and in the same kind of way. So I would say an outrageous goal was definitely publish a book.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a major one.
And it became a bestseller within the first week. So that was like a goal that I was like blown away by, that we met. It was awesome. Yeah.
Definitely. Wow, that's great. So who would you cite has helped you throughout this process? If you had one person that's like, this person has really helped me to get where I am right now, who would you say that was?
Just in general or with productivity?
Just in general.
Oh my gosh, I cannot just do one. I mean, it's just impossible. I can't just do one. I will say that the person that has helped me, or the entity that has helped me out the most, has been my immediate community.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important to have your immediate community intact and connected. And they don't have to be like, I tour a lot and I travel a lot. And so the majority of my closest core community is, we all communicate via text message on like almost a daily basis. And so that community is super crucial.
Yeah, no, I'm strongly a harper on our village. Definitely. Yeah, I love it. So, okay, you've accomplished the book writing now.
Mm-hmm.
So what's next? What's your next big goal that you want to accomplish?
So I have a full-length album that is sitting in my Dropbox, and it's waiting to get mixed and then mastered and then duplicated, and we'll get it on out into the iTunes realm and all that good stuff. So we have a full-length album coming out. Um, there's also more music than that, and more touring, and on the business development side, I have started this thing called the School of Bravery.
Mm-hmm.
And in the next year or two, we're going to be getting that thing up the ground. Right now, we have a group of about 15 beta students in the school. And every month we focus on one of the ingredients, one of the 12 ingredients of bravery.
Mm-hmm.
We do master classes together talking about, they're all topics that students are voting on. So it's things like how to title headlines and things like that. We're doing a class on productivity this month. We're doing a class also on creating bravery checklists. So like before you launch something, do you have a checklist of like everything that you need to get in place before you send that email or before you post that announcement on Facebook, that kind of thing. So, because I think a lot of times when we have a group of people around us, this community around us, and we have a guide or somebody that can hold us accountable to some of these outrageous goals, the bravery required to do those things doesn't feel as terrifying.
Definitely. Again, that goes back to that support system. But I like the to-do list. That's definitely a strategy that I use in my business is having that accountability. I'm going to do this, 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 and this before I'm able to launch this product or this service. So I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's not just a to-do list. It's more along the lines of like, if this tanks, do I have a contingency plan in place?
Oh, yeah, that's
If
very
I
important.
if I send out a typo in this email, or if I send out a broken link, what am I going to do? Do I have something in place? So it's not just because I think a lot of times we want to focus on the how wonderful and amazing our goals are and how amazing life is going to be on the other side. But what we don't understand a lot of times, or what we're not prepared for, is the unexpected. And part of bare naked bravery and utilizing these 12 ingredients of bravery is approaching your bravery with small baby steps that are very analytical, and everything is taken into consideration. And when you know that everything as much as possible is taken into consideration, you know that the next step that you take, you can take it more confidently.
Definitely.
Rather than just like, oh, I'm just gonna do this and see what the universe gives me. Like sometimes that works out, but sometimes it doesn't, you know. And bravery is not an act of chaos. It's a really analytical choice.
I love that. I definitely love that. Bravery is an analytical choice. I like it.
Yeah,
Um,
accountability.
so if you could give one nugget to either a future entrepreneur or somebody that's already in the entrepreneur world, it can be about productivity, it can be about, whatever you feel like you would like to share. What nugget would that be?
um, that nugget would be to be focused on, sounds really gross and skeezy, might sound gross and skeezy to some people, but stay focused on profit. I think a lot of times people who are getting started, especially people who are going from a day job to being an entrepreneur, they think that the grass is greener on the other side, and it is not if you have no profit. So if you stay focused on profit and making and having an actual margin that you can live off of, then you'll be successful. But if you're just in it for ego reasons, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's tough advice to give, but it's important. So
Yeah, you're 100% correct.
yeah, it's all about
So
sustainability. So
yeah, you're right. You're right. And keeping everything going. So yeah.
Mhm.
What is your must-read book, Emily?
um
And
my
this is
must
in general.
Yeah, so my must read in general book is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron.
The Artist's Way.
Yeah, it's a workbook and it's meant to be completed over 12 weeks and it is absolutely life-changing. I've
Mm.
I've taught it several times. I've led a group in it several times and I've gone through it by myself several times, and every single time everyone in the group and even myself, there's some life-changing decision that ends up happening in that 12 weeks. Like either you decide to get a divorce or get married or have a kid or go back to grad school or something. So it's a real life, it shakes things up for sure. So if you're ready for it, go for it. But
Well, yeah, I think I'll be ordering that today. I need a little shake up.
yeah, do it.
Okay, and a quote. What is your favorite quote?
That is a really good question. um I love the Anais Nin quote about blooming. I don't have it memorized. um Blooming and how like the pain of staying in a bud is too much to bear, and so then she must bloom. I don't have it memorized, and I'm sorry.
That's okay. Threw you off there with that one. No problem. So, how can we, viewers, me, everyone, how can we participate in Emily's movement?
You can send me an email. It's just me on the other side of the email. You can also join my community if you go to emilyannpeterson.com/join. There's a Facebook group and there's a 5-day bravery challenge and a 2 songs and a coloring book and a bravery worksheet, and all of that is just like there waiting for you guys if you want to jump in. We'd love to
I
have
saw that. I logged in and I was like, oh my gosh, this
you.
is
Yeah.
a lot. She's amazing. So I will put all of those links down below, and if everybody wants to click on it so they can join Emily's movement. Emily, is there anything else you would like to share with the group?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say this is the way that I end every podcast episode. The podcast is the same name as the book, Bare Naked Bravery. And the book's on Amazon and it's got an audiobook and I'm narrating it. So if you want to hear me read it to you at night, tuck you into bed, I'd be happy to do it. The way that I end every podcast episode is we need your bravery. We need your vulnerability. We need you to be imaginative and to have improvisation. And we just need your bare naked bravery.
I love that. That was beautiful. Thank you so much for being here, Emily. I really appreciate your time.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.